Hey, what's going on, you guys? My name is the Raptor, and welcome back to the Christmas season of Who'd Win and Why. And yes, I apologize, I'm still wearing my Santa Claus hat with the beard. What I've decided to do is I'm not going to do this for the next episode, because the next episode is the Christmas season finale, and this episode doesn't really fit in with the other, episodes of the Christmas season, and it's also just a more special episode in my opinion. So I'm just going to ditch the whole Santa hat thing altogether, just for that one episode, because again, it's more serious, and it's just more of a special episode, so yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Plus, you don't have this distracting beard covering my face. But you know what? That's not the point of this episode. This episode, we got Frozone going up against Elsa. Now, these two characters from animated Disney movies. Obviously, we got The Incredibles for one of them, and for the other one, we have Frozen. But on a one-on-one fight, which one will be more set to win? Well, guess what? That's what I'm here for. So, who'd win and why? Let's find out. So first I'm going to talk about Frozone. Now, we all know Frozone. His real name, in case some of you guys didn't know, was Lucius Best. And the way he got his powers, there's actually two ways that you could say he got his powers. Technically, it's never really defined in the actual movie how anyone really got their superpowers, I don't think. You obviously see that Dash and Violet were born with their powers, so people just assume that all the other supers were born with their powers. It's kind of like a genetic thing. So you could say that Frozone was born with his powers, but another thing you could say is that according to the Pixar theory, which I believe is a theory developed by John Negroni, I believe that's his name, he basically said that there were some humans that evolved and got powers, essentially, and then that started being genetic, and that's why when two supers had kids, which were Mr. Incredible and Elastigirl, when they had kids, they, their children had superpowers as well. So you could say that Frozone, was one of the evolved humans. It doesn't really matter which one you choose, but I just thought, it's not a full mystery anymore. It's probably just one of the two. Take your pick. But anyway, so his powers. So basically what he's most known for doing is shooting out ice. Now, he's been doing, actually ice and snow. When he shoots out ice, it's generally used for an offensive manner, when he's just shooting out to freeze someone completely solid, or when he's just using it, to fight the Omnidroid, to just freeze one of the arms. So yeah, he does use it for an offensive manner, but he also does it for traveling. Kind of like in an Iceman type way. He can make like an ice ramp, and he can travel across it, and it makes for some particularly speedy travel. The way that he does this is that he actually has special boots, which I believe the soles materialize into either skis, almost like skis, ice skates, or even like a disc, kind of like a snowboard type thing, which he can actually use to make his way across the ice, which I just think is really cool. That's something I didn't really know exactly how he could do that before the research was done. So that's really cool. Maybe some of you guys didn't know. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention during the movie. I saw it when I was really young, but whatever. That's not the point. So he can travel across the ice, and he can use it for traveling speed. He's also pretty quick on the draw when he does his ice attacks. He's been shown freezing Dash's spit, and I'm not exactly sure how fast Dash's spit is. Probably not as fast as Dash himself, but he was still able to freeze a cop, before the bullet was able to hit him. Obviously the bullet was fired after he started freezing, but still, the point is he's still pretty quick on the draw when it comes to how quickly he can freeze. So I think that's pretty cool. When he uses his snow, it's generally used for when he's trying to get down rough surfaces. The snow makes it a bit less rough. Or what he does is he just uses it to cushion falls should he fall. When it comes to his experience, obviously he's been around since the golden age of supers. So he's had a lot of experience catching crooks. Most of them are regular people, though there obviously are there's obviously that one misfit, Bon Voyage, who you saw Mr. Incredible beat at the beginning of The Incredibles. So yeah, it is a bit we don't know exactly what these other criminals can do. Do they have anything like Bon Voyage? Do they have bombs? Do they have guns? Do they have anything else like that? Or just any sort of special technology that they have with them, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Most of the time, I just have to assume that he's fighting regular criminals, that might have access to a handgun, something like that. But he's still fought a lot of them, and he's also helped to fight the Omnidroid. And remember, this is the latest version of the Omnidroid, and all versions of the Omnidroid are supposed to take out supers. So just even to help fight the Omnidroid, the most recent, the updated version, with more powers, or is just more enhanced or whatever, designed to take out supers, just even helping with that that is something worth mentioning. So, you know, his combat experience, obviously, he's a superhero. He's fought different criminals. It's pretty high, in my opinion. Another thing that he can do for other travel, like not just traveling across the ice or just even on foot, what he can do is, I believe that it's a bit hard to explain. It's like he can almost like create coasters of like midair icicles, which he can jump off of and almost like jump. He can almost like create them below his feet. They dematerialize after like he jumps off of them, but he can almost like do it like in the air. So it's not really levitation. It's not really flying. It's more so like air travel in case he wants to, I guess. And he can even take like big bounds or leaps off of them if he wants to, just to get around quicker. So this guy is pretty quick in the air and also on his feet. So yeah, he's worked a lot with Mr. Incredible in the past, probably a lot, like before the supers or whatever, like said they had to go in hiding or whatever. He probably helped Mr. Incredible a lot. So he has teamed up with Mr. Incredible, but he obviously has done a lot of stuff by himself as well, and he's worked with the actual Incredibles team, obviously, you know, the family of four, when fighting the Omnidroid. So he's helped fight Syndrome, he's helped fight the Omnidroid, so his combat experience is pretty good in my opinion. So yeah, I guess that's really all I have to say about Frozone. He also has a visor, I guess I should mention, which protect him from like the glares of the ice in case he's doing it in broad daylight. You know, that's another thing just that he has. I guess I might as well mention that. But yeah, I think that's really all I need to say about Frozone. Now let's move on to Elsa. Now we obviously know like Queen Elsa, and before any of you guys say anything, I am not a Frozen fanboy, and I know some of you watching may be Frozen fanboys or fangirls, but I'm not a Frozen fanboy. I watched the movie, I liked it. I didn't love it, like, oh my god, it's the best movie ever. I didn't hate it, I actually liked it, but that's all I have to say, you know, because I know that there's going to be at least one person watching this that they're either going to love me for saying Elsa wins, or they're going to be extremely triggered that Frozone wins. So, you know, I'm just saying that, like, I'm not biased in any way. I like both of these characters, not equally, and I'll get into that later. But you know, I like both the characters, and I'm not a Frozen fanboy at all. So anyway, what can Elsa do? Now, Elsa can obviously manipulate ice and snow. She can control it. She can also create it. She can create her own ice that she can pretty much do whatever she wants with. You know, she can make a castle out of ice and snow, and she even seems to have some control over the weather, as she was able to make like a cloud to keep Olaf alive even during the conditions of summer. So that's pretty cool. That means she is quite versatile in her abilities, because she's also even able to make life. You know, she was able to make Olaf and that giant snow beast. Does that guy have a name? I don't even know if he does or not. But you know, that giant snow beast that chased Anna and Kristoff and Olaf. Yeah, so she can make life. Whether that counts as outside help or not, you know, it's a bit hard to say. I'll get more into that later, maybe more so during the explanation. But yeah, that's also something she can do. You know, she can make a castle. She was able to make, like, these gigantic, thick ice pillars of a castle in, like, just under 10 seconds, or roughly 10 seconds. And that's crazy. You know, even when she was 8 years old, with one footstep, she was able to freeze the entire floor of the Great Hall, you know, where they were living, Anna and Elsa. So, and her powers were only increase, you know, as the rock trolls, those guys, as what they said, you know, they will only increase. And it's definitely shown. You know, she was able to make a dress. She was able to make a gigantic castle, and almost, like, I don't want to say no time at all, but in like about a minute, you know, she was able to do all of that. And you know, she was able to freeze over an entire kingdom without even trying. Obviously this was more when she was like stressed out and when she was angry, but when she actually gets stressed out and angry, that's when her powers actually become a lot more deadly. She becomes to use more, she starts to lose control, but it ends up in her using more force and more deadly tactics, like ice spikes and freezing over an entire kingdom. So, you know, her powers are very plentiful. She can pretty much create as much snow as she wants. She can, you know, and even if it's not her snow, you know, she's controlled snow on the ground, like when you saw her making Olaf. Like in the song "Can't Hold It Back Anymore," you know that. You know, she wasn't using her own snow. She was using snow just found on the ground, meaning that she can control not only her own snow, but also any ice and snow that she finds anywhere, essentially. Or at least that's what I'm inferring. But anyway, so yeah, she is extremely versatile in her abilities. She seems to be able to do a lot with her ice abilities. You know, create life, create a castle, freeze over an entire kingdom. Obviously, her main flaw in this battle is her combat experience. She's fought some guards that were led by Hans when they were trying to attack her. She fought like 2 or something. maybe a bit more, but, you know, she hasn't really had a lot of combat experience or anything like that. She's also not too quick. Like I said, she doesn't have a lot of combat experience, so she hasn't, like, had to be quick or strong or anything like that. Something to point out, though, is that the cold, obviously, the cold never bothered me anyway. You know, like, obviously she is, she doesn't get bothered by the cold. You know, and even, like, I think even in a scene when someone is talking to her, you could see, I think it might have been Hans even, you could see Hans's breath. You know, like, when it's really cold, you know how you can, like, see your breath outside? Elsa, you couldn't see her breath, so that just shows, like, how one she is with the cold. I just thought that's something, interesting to point out. But yeah, she hasn't been shown doing anything like any air travel or anything like that. She hasn't been shown being particularly strong or fast, and again, the only durability is that really the cold doesn't bother her. But yeah, so that's pretty much all there is to Elsa. She can manipulate ice in really any way she wants. She has a lot of it stored up, or she can, like, just make as much as she wants, and she's very powerful when she uses it. She just hasn't used it a lot for deadly purposes or anything like that, and she does not have a lot of combat experience. Nor is she too bright. You know, she hasn't come up with any strategies or anything like that, but again, that just goes back to that she doesn't have a lot of combat experience. So guys, I think that's really all I have to say about these two characters. Now trying to figure out who would win. Now, honestly, like I said, some guys are going to be, if I say Frozone wins, there's going to be a lot of Frozen fanboys and fangirls that are just going to be, like, all over me, like, saying, no, you're wrong. And then if I say Frozone wins, well, sorry, no, I did say Frozone wins, and if I said Elsa wins, you know, a lot of you are going to be happy. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about trying to figure out who would win in a fight, not trying to figure out who is more popular. It's never a popularity contest. It's never based on my personal preference. In fact, I might as well just say it now. I do prefer Frozone. I do prefer the Incredibles movie more than I did Frozen. So, yeah, you know, that's just my own personal preference. But it doesn't relate to the fight. Neither does a popularity contest. You know, if I wanted to go for my own personal preference, I would say Frozone would win. If I wanted to go for the popularity, I would say Elsa would win, you know. So it really, like, it's just based on who I feel would win in a fight based on my own knowledge. That being said, however, when I first heard about this fight, I was thinking, Elsa wins. There's no way Frozone can win. Because Elsa, she froze over an entire kingdom, you know, she's made a gigantic castle. She just seems to be quicker with her abilities, you know, she can make, like, so many, like she can do so much in so little time. And she seems to be so much more powerful, than Frozone. And as I looked more into it, I still believe that Elsa would win, but I am glad that I did more, research to figure out where the advantages really lie. And yes, I'm just going to repeat that again, I do believe that Elsa would win this fight. But please, before any of you say anything, before any of you call me biased and say that I am a Frozen fanboy, let me please just explain myself and explain to you why I feel that Elsa would win. First, let's go over the advantages that Frozone has over Elsa. Frozone has two big advantages over Elsa, which is combat experience and speed. Now, speed I can't really say anything about, because sometimes what I do is, like, when I say an advantage, I say, like, why that advantage might not be so good, but, you know, like, speed I can't really say anything like that. He obviously has the speed advantage, or at least he's had more experience doing things that involve speed, because, you know, he's traveling in the air, he's traveling on the, like, ice ramps and whatnot. I'm almost certain that Elsa could probably do that stuff too, because, you know, like, she can also create ice, but she hasn't had, like, any experience doing that, and like I said, she doesn't have to. Usually when she fights, even if she fights at all, she stays stationary. So there's really, like, she doesn't have a lot of experience doing anything with speed. So Frozone obviously trumps that category. With combat experience, however, like I said, Frozone has fought a lot of different characters, but she hasn't, Frozone has fought a lot of different people, but they're just people. He hasn't really fought, like, any super-powered characters, except maybe he fought Bomb Voyage, maybe he fought someone else, but really, before Syndrome came, there were no super-villain supers, you know? No one with, like, such great abilities, and technically, Syndrome doesn't have any abilities either, but, you know, he has his brilliant mind, and he has his rocket boots, and his 0-point energy, everything like that. But, you know, like, he just hasn't had a lot of experience fighting too many powerful characters, and when he fought the Omnidroid, remember, he was there, but he didn't do all too much, in all honesty. He did freeze, like, one arm, I think, but really, it was Mr. Incredible that came up with the way to defeat the Omnidroid, and the only way he knew how to do that was from his previous fight with the Omnidroid, when he figured out that, oh, you know, he has to, like, he's the only one powerful enough to penetrate himself, you know, and Frozone would, like, probably not be able to come up with that strategy anytime soon. So yes, even though Frozone does have a slight experience advantage over Elsa. You just have to face the facts that neither of them have fought another ice user. Meaning that even though Frozone does have more experience fighting, he doesn't have a lot of he has like no experience fighting someone with cold abilities, and that's something that Elsa has. So really, you could say that with your experience, it's almost like a tie in this certain scenario because neither of them have fought anyone remotely close to each other. Again, I'm still giving the combat experience edge to Frozone for obvious reasons, but in this specific fight, it's actually pretty close. Now let's talk about the advantages that Elsa has over Frozone. Now, there are two big things that I need to point out. One thing is that Frozone has shown no signs of being resistant to cold in any way. Yes, he has been able to like ride across like ice ramps, but again, that's because of his ice skates. That's because of his like skis. That's because of the little disc snowboard that he has. And even if he wasn't, you know, like okay, cool, he can run across ice really well. Again, that would just add to his speed, but it doesn't really make him any sort of like resistant to cold. And that's because he just shoots it out of his fingertips. You know, he doesn't really like it doesn't need like back like in another episode that I did with Blizzard, his suit had to be somewhat cold resistant because it actually kept like all of his ice and snow inside the suit. Frozone doesn't really have that problem. He can just shoot ice whenever he wants. So his suit doesn't need to be cold resistant really at all. Like if we froze Iceman in an ice block, I really doubt that Iceman would be able to get out. Whereas, like, with Killer Frost, no, not Killer Frost, what the heck, I'm going back to other episodes. With Elsa, she is able to, like, the cold doesn't bother her, and I'm not sure exactly how much that would, like, if you froze her in an ice block, I'm not sure how fast she'd be able to get out, but like I said, she seems to be more one with the cold than Frozone is. So it just makes more sense to me that, you know, like, she's more like I said, this happens a lot, actually, with, like, Killer Frost and, somewhat Blizzard, which is another character that I mentioned before. They don't have all too good resistant when it comes to cold, and that's something that's showing up on the show a lot more than I actually thought it would. And Frozone is like the same case. And when you have like two cold users going against each other, one person is more resistant to cold than the other, you kind of know what's going to happen. Attack for attack, one person is going to get the upper hand, and in that case, this is Elsa. And the second biggest thing I want to say is that Frozone, yes, he can shoot out ice, but Elsa can control, manipulate, and shoot out ice, but she can control and manipulate any sort of ice and snow from anywhere. Meaning that even if Frozone does try to shoot out ice, she can literally just misdirect it in any way she wants. Kind of like an Agara versus Toph thing from Death Battle. She can just misdirect the ice or completely control it and shoot it right back at him. Because Frozone, like, I know some people don't some people don't even realize it, but Frozone can't control ice. He can shoot out ice, and he seems to have some sort of, like, he's mastered it, obviously, because he can make, like, ice ramps, but he can't, like, have like, an ice ball floating in the air for, like, a few seconds and then shoot it. All he can do is just literally shoot out ice. And Elsa seems to be way more versatile with her abilities. Not only could she control the ice that he's shooting out, but she could also just, like, you know, control, like, and like, she's so versatile, and she just seems to be more powerful. You know, she froze over an entire kingdom by accident, and at the end of the movie, she seems to be able to know how to control her powers, you know, how to get rid of the ice, and probably how to control the ice now, and everything that she does. Meaning, if she wanted to freeze over a kingdom again, she probably could. If she wanted to make another ice castle, she probably could, you know? It just makes sense to me. So she seems to be more powerful, she seems to be more versatile because she can create life. Now, I'm not sure if this counts as outside help or not, because if some of you watched my show before, you know that, like, I don't let a swarm of Iron Man suits attack one character if Iron Man is in a Who Win Why. If Lizard is in a Who Win Why, I don't let him, like, take a ton of lizards that he can mind control or talk to and, like, just attack one person, because I just don't feel that that's fair. This case is a bit hard. I guess just for the sake of the fight, I will say that it is outside help. But regardless, you know, she still seems to be way more versatile. She can control ice. She could probably misdirect any ice that Iceman is. Like, if Iceman could control ice, I would question that, because, you know, like, they would probably both be controlling the ice, and, like, it's almost like a tug of war. They'd be trying to, you know, get the ice for themselves, and, you know, like, they'd be fighting against the control. But because Iceman can really only shoot ice and not really control it, I don't really see that, like, I see that Elsa is probably going to be able to misdirect it or even just completely shoot it back if she's quick enough. And while Frozone is probably faster on foot, when it comes to like their quick, like how quick they are when it comes to shooting out ice, like I said, like she's so quick with her ice manipulation, she's able to make like an entire castle or at least the pillars in 10 seconds. And she's able to like freeze the Great Hall when she was 8 years old, the floor of it, when like with just one footstep. So she is really quick when it comes to using her powers. So I feel that she would be able to misdirect or even shoot back the ice that Frozone is shooting at her. And remember, she's able to have some sort of weather control if she can make some sort of cloud for Olaf to live, like for him to live during the conditions of summer. So that does mean that she is more versatile, and who knows what else she can do. She just seems to have more control over the cold. She can do more things with the cold. Obviously, she hasn't been like flying or like whatever Frozone is doing in the air. She hasn't been shown doing any of that, which does give him another advantage when it comes to like maneuverability. But even so, it just seems that like Elsa is more resistant to Frozone's attacks. And if we just freeze Frozone in an ice block, which I'm sure that Elsa could do with his own cold that he's shooting out, you know, it just seems to be over for Frozone. I don't see any way that Frozone could come back. You know, he's not resistant to the cold, whereas Elsa is. Like, and he can shoot out cold. Like, okay, she can shoot out cold, control cold. Like, when I say cold, I mean ice and snow. You know, and she can just shoot all of his attacks right back at him, or just be almost completely resistant to them. And finally, you know, like I said, she's also more versatile, and she just seems to be more powerful. She can do more with her cold, you know, like freezing over an entire kingdom, which is something that Frozone has never been able to do before. You know, but just the last thing that I want to say is just, like, even if Frozone is quick enough to get around most of her attacks, you know, as I said, as she gets more stressed out, she becomes more and more powerful. You know, she becomes more deadly, she becomes more powerful, and while it does mean that she loses control, you know, just how deadly she is almost kind of makes up for that, you know? Like, she's able to, like, she just becomes more powerful, and if she just lets it all out, I don't see Frozone surviving that. I'm sorry, but I just don't, because Frozone doesn't have any experience fighting any other cold characters. He doesn't have any experience, like, he hasn't had any experience, like, he hasn't fought anyone like that, and he's not resistant to cold at all, from what I've seen. So I just feel that because Elsa is just so more versatile, and because she just seems to be able to negate pretty much all of the attacks that Frozone could shoot at her, I just feel that she's more suited to win this fight. Not to mention that Frozone does need a lot of moisture in the air and in his body in order to use his cold, which is something that he showed, like, when he was in a burning building. When he got out, he had to drink some water in order for him to use his cold abilities again, and I believe that this probably won't happen like anytime soon, because, you know, that was from a burning building that he was inside. But, you know, it still means that she probably has like an unlimited cold bank, and he does not. Almost unlimited. Okay, I don't want to say almost unlimited, but, you know, a very big bank, you know, like a very big, like, saved up ice power that he can use, but it eventually will run out even if Elsa has a hard time killing him. And because, like, again, she just seems more versatile. She just seems to be able to control the ice more, you know, because all he can do is really shoot out ice. But she seems to be able to do, like, she can control, like, the cold and ice and snow in pretty much any way she wants to. And that just makes her more versatile and more suited to win this fight. So, in my opinion, the winner is Elsa. So guys, I really hope you enjoyed this battle. I know I did, because, you know, I really like both of these characters, and I liked both of the movies, Incredibles and Frozen. So, you know, and these aren't your typical, like, Marvel DC characters, which is what I generally do on the show, so I'm happy that I was able to do something else. If you guys enjoyed it, please give me a like. Comment down below maybe what I missed, who you think would win, and why. You know, like, what other battles you'd like to see me do. Next season is a regular season, so, you know, like, comment down your ideas. It doesn't really have to be cold related or anything like that. So yeah, just do whatever you want to do with that. And if you could subscribe to my channel, that'd be so great. That would really help me out. I make these videos pretty regularly. After this week, I am going to be going back to school, so I'm hoping to finish up this season before that happens, and I'm pretty sure I will. I mean, there's only one episode left. But, you know, just if you could subscribe to my channel, that'd be so great. You know, stick around for a bit and see how you like it. Because this is what I generally do here on the channel, Who'd Win and Why. So if you like versus episodes, you know, why not give me a try? So guys, I also have a Q&A going up. Just want to say that some of you guys are I've probably reminded you guys like a lot lot of you guys who have watched the videos, I probably remind you so much at this point. But if you want to ask me a question or two or three or however many you want, try not to make it too much though. You can comment on this video, but please tell me that's for the Q&A. And if you want to guarantee that I see it, go back to my channel and go to the Q&A announcement video, which was my 200 subscriber thank you video, and comment it down there. So it really doesn't matter which one you do. But guys, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate the view. Your view means everything to me. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And next time on Who'd Win and Why, we got the rematch of Batman versus Iron Man. See you all then.